Hello and welcome to this video on the 4 domains of Shabbat. In our Mishnah Concept series, this is Mishnah Concept 29, 30, 31, and 32. Basically, when the Torah tells us that we're not allowed to carry an object from one place to the other, well, it's not so simple because there are different types of places. And we're going to learn about what are the types of places regarding this law, and what can you do and what can you not do in between each one. So I made this handy chart for each one to help you out. We have the name. The first one is Reshut Harabim, a public place. Okay, we have a few different details about it. The minimum height for a public place, okay, the Torah says it has to be maximum of 10 tefachim. That means if it's more than 10 fists tall, it can no longer be considered a public place. I mean, it's understandable. You can't really climb. If you're walking in the street, no one's going to climb up such a big hill. They'll walk around it. Minimum width is 16 amot, basically like a road. An amma is like 1.5 feet, so it's over 16 feet wide. You're dealing with over 20 feet wide, actually. Okay? Can you carry 4 amot? That means about 6 feet in that area? No. No carrying 4 amot in a public place. Can you carry from there to a private or public place? The answer is no. So a real public place, which is 16 amot wide, and it's lower than 10 fists, that's what the Torah means when it says no carrying from one place to the other. Okay? Now, a note about this, according to some, a place needs to have a minimum traffic of 600,000 people per day to be qualified as a Reshut Harabim. Now, why is that significant? First of all, we get that from the Jews in the desert. My rabbis tell us the Jews were 600,000 Jews that were in the desert, and their camp had on any given time 600,000 people at least. So therefore, to be a real public place, it has to be like it was in the desert. Here's a real public place these days, a highway like the 405 freeway, definitely 16 amot wide, lots of traffic, hundreds of thousands of people going. According to all opinions, that's a public place. Now we get to the second one, Reshut HaYachid, a private place. Okay, the minimum height for that is 10 tefachim. It has to be minimum 10 tefachim tall. It could be more than that. If it's shorter than that, it doesn't qualify as a private place because it has to have like a fence to keep people out. Minimum width, 4 tefachim minimum. It's about the size of a person able to stand inside. Example, a guard booth would be a private place. A house, fenced yard, or even a pit, because the walls of the pit dug in the ground count. Can you carry 4 amot in a private place? Yes, you can carry around your house, you can carry around your yard, and if you have 4 amot in your guard booth, you can carry in that too. Can you carry from there to a private place or a public place? No, you may not. Notes: a pit can also be considered a private place if it is 10 tefachim deep and 4 tefachim wide. So can I pass something from a street to a guard in a guard booth? No is correct. Makom Petor, exempt place. Minimum height is 3 tefachim. If it's less than 3 tefachim tall, it's considered part of the public place. Minimum width, maximum of 4 tefachim. What that means is, once it's 4 tefachim wide, it's no longer exempt. Exempt means that you're not guilty if you carry there. Okay? Example, what could be such a weird measurement? A private mailbox. Okay? It could be more than 3 fists tall, but it's smaller, it's narrower than 4 fists. A flower pot. Cinder block in the middle of the street. A small trash can may be that size. Airspace above 10 tefachim. Okay, that's a little bit weird, but basically if somehow you were able to walk in the air like a tightrope walker, or you're like walking on a fence or something, okay, you would be allowed to carry there technically, or a small mound of earth that's not too big. Can you carry 4 amot there, like on a tightrope or on a top of a teeny fence? The answer would be yes. Can you carry from there to a private or public place? Yes, but you may not use it to complete a transfer to or from a public or private place from a different place. In other words, if you have a cinder block outside your house, you can't put your object outside from your window on the cinder block and then transfer it to the road, because that would be cheating. So here's our examples of a makom pitor that you can carry more than 4 amot: your tightrope, your sign post, your mailbox, your parking meter, little stool, little basket, little mailbox. Right? If somehow they were very long but they weren't so wide, you can carry more than 4 amot or transfer an object to or from there, but not to complete a transfer, as we learned. And finally, we have the karmelit. The karmelit is in between public and private. What is the dimensions? 3 tfachim maximum, and 3 tfachim. It has to be minimum of 3 tfachim tall and a maximum of 10 tfachim. So it's in between 3 and up to 10. The minimum width has to be 4 tfachim. Example: the sea, the mountain, a narrow path. Okay, these things are in between a public and a private place, because people are not necessarily living in the sea. It's not a private place for people to live. It's not a public place because not a lot of people go there. Okay, can you carry 4 amot there? No midrabanan, meaning if you could somehow walk on the water or carry on a mountain, which that's practical, or carry on a narrow path, the Torah wouldn't consider that a public place. But the rabbis said you cannot carry there because you can easily get confused and carry on a real street. Can you carry from there to a private or public place? No midrabanan. Here's an example of the in-between karmelit place: the sea, a small path less than 16 amot, a mound or a mountain or a valley. So let's review the 4 areas that we just learned. Okay, we had, first of all, the reshut hayachid, the private place. Okay, you may carry, check 4 amot in a private place. Private place would be like a house or a guard booth, which is big enough, 4 by 4 tfachim, 10 tfachim high. You may not, however, transfer from a private place to a public place. Let's look at the reshut harabim, the public place. You may not, in red, meaning min ha-Torah, according to the Torah, carry 4 amot in a public place. Public place would be like a very wide road, 16 amot wide, like a highway. According to some opinions, where there's a lot of traffic, you may not transfer from there to a private place, min ha-Torah. Now, there's also the makom pitor, the exempt place, which is, for example, like something so small that it's not even 4 by 4, or it's higher. For example, like a mailbox, a little stool or wastebasket or a sign, or something like that, or higher than 10 tfachim, which, like a tightrope higher than the airspace of 4 tfachim. Those areas are exempt, meaning if you carry there, it's okay. And for example, you're allowed to, be allowed to carry there, and you're allowed to transfer from there to another place on one condition: that you don't transfer from a private place to the makom pitor to the public place, or from the public place to the makom pitor to the private place. That would be cheating the system, and you shouldn't do that. Okay, the final place is the karmelit, which is called the in-between place, and the examples that we gave are like the ocean, or a valley, or a narrow path that's less than 16 amot. And those type of places, a karmelit would be not allowed to carry 4 amot over there, according to the Rabbanan, according to the rabbis. Now, what's the difference if it's Rabbanan or the Araita? I can't carry there either way. I have to listen to the rabbis, because the Torah tells me to listen to the rabbis. The reason is that we make that difference is that in certain situations where there is a reason to be lenient, you ask a rabbi, and the rabbi will be more lenient in a karmelit than a reshut harabim. Okay, and you are not allowed to transfer between a karmelit and a private place. You cannot do that, and that's why it's in yellow. because the rabbis decreed that.